everyone, welcome to UTV Gooner and our show, The Shooting Lone Star with Ram from the Austin Gooners. Hey bro, how are you?
Amit, what's up, bro? Doing all right. All things considering, it's been a long month, almost uneventful. Uh, it's felt like a long time, but we got a couple games in, and now we're in international break. Austin FC is an international break too, so it's like we got nothing. But I'm a little excited for tomorrow. We're gonna try and put on a watch party for the women's North London derby, so that'll be something to kind of hold us over until football comes back in October. And then October, as we know, man, like that's gonna be almost like a football overload. Games every 3 days. So I mean, I guess all things considering, it's good. It's good at least on as a fan to get like a little bit of a break and maybe focus on other things. And because I know in October I'm going to definitely be just Arsenal overdrive, man. So, but I'm not going to complain either way, right? Life is good.
Yeah, bro, October's gonna be a busy month. 9 games in the 1 month. Gonna be like game every 3 days or so. So really busy. Before we look ahead though, let's look back at that last game we had. Great win for us against Brentford. I remember doing the previous show of you saying to you that, yeah, they last season caught us at a really good time for them. It was a bad time for us. Opening game of the season, they were really up for it. We had our injury issues with COVID. We hadn't got our transfer business done by that point fully as well. So we weren't prepared. But this time, I was very confident. I was saying to you, we're going to go there and show them what we're really about. And we did that. We showed them we're levels above them. It was a comfortable win from start to finish.
Mhm.
Second half, we're just cruising. Really dominant performance from us. 3 great goals. Really happy. Your thoughts on the game?
Um, yeah, to kind of go off of what you said, the main thing I was really excited about was we were able to come off of a loss and look really impressive. I mean, you think about last year, every time we lost a game, we ended up losing another one. And then we lost another one. Like we lost all our games in batches. You know what I mean? Like it was never one
Yeah,
loss and then we bounced back with a win. So like with this one, it was like, I mean, granted, it was a week away. It was a week because of the delay or the postponement because of the Queen. Um, but this is the first game back from United, and we could have responded in the complete opposite way, right? We could have come out looked flat, looked terrible, um, kept Brentford in the game way too long, and it would have been maybe one of those games that a 2-1 or 1-0, like a game that's just too close for comfort. But no, man, we came out and stomped them, and I mean, within the first maybe 5 or 10 minutes, I was like, all right, Brentford's, they were pressing a little bit hard, but we just looked so comfortable. And then over time, that when that first goal came in at the 17th minute, um, I was just like, oh, this is perfect. This is a good way to start. And then um, Gabriel Jesus scored the second one, which was a brilliant header. A great pass from Granit Xhaka. Gabriel Jesus just it was amazing. The first two goals just incredible. Bukayo Saka got the first goal. I'll backtrack a little bit, but the first goal he got the assist right off the corner, but kudos to him for earning the corner. And this is something I'm noticing a lot. There is a little bit of chatter here and there about Saka not necessarily producing or looking as his best compared to everybody else. And he may not be getting like the sexy numbers. He's not getting the goals, but he's getting the contributions, man. I mean, there's numerous goals that we've scored off of the corner kicks that Saka has earned the corner, right? Just with his tenacity and with his play, just being aggressive. And then this one, he got rewarded with the assist on the first one and also the second one. I mean, Fabio Vieira, took that shot on his own and wasn't scared, but that was, Saka gets the assist on that. And I really liked how Vieira just kind of scored right off the bat in the second half. Because again, what I'm always worried about with Arsenal, just in my time watching, is always toward the end of halves, how we end the first half and then how we begin the second half. And I'm always like, just please go into the locker room and or the dressing room and let's go in without giving up a goal. And then second half, it's let's just play hard. And we scored within the first 3 minutes, and from then on it was just easy. That the rest of the game, I started making my coffee, making my breakfast, and just enjoyed the Arsenal match in the background just because I'm like, all right, that's done and dusted. We got the 3 points. Now we can just start worrying about the North London derby, and then also worried about just other things. And so I thought it was an emphatic win, all things considered. We could have come out flat because of the loss and not and also the postponements and all this kind of weird stuff going on. And we also had, a lot of injuries, a lot of knocks that these players are going through, but everybody who went in there stepped up, and we look like a great team, and I'm excited for what's to come.
Yeah, it was an outstanding display. It's really good to see us go and dominate games like that. We've done that a few times this season now, where difficult grounds away from home, we've just gone, dominated the game start to finish, and had a comfortable win. It's really good for the heart watching games like that, where you're not on the edge of the seat worried. From
Yeah.
early, we knew that game was done, especially when we got that third goal early in the second half. And what a strike that was! That was Fabio Vieira's debut goal. When you looked at the team sheet at the start of the game, saw Odegaard was injured. A little bit worried. We've not seen much of Fabio Vieira. We saw him in the Europa League. We've heard a lot of good things about him, but we saw now in the Premier League as well. He played really well in this game, and what a strike to get his opening goal.
Yeah, and I think I described it as brave or emphatic or whatever, but yeah, I mean that's sort of his game. Just from the little bit I watched when he stepped in as a substitute against United, and then he got to play in the Europa League. Um, and so this is his second, proper start, first in the Premier League, obviously. But he just looks real comfortable and real sure of himself. Obviously, there's going to be some growing pains, this and that. He's never going to have like the perfect game. So we got to kind of roll with that. But just as a first impression, I saw everything I wanted to see, and I was so happy to just watch him step into the role. And like I said, we've had all these kinds of little nicks and injuries that last season would have kind of freaked us out. But in this game, you didn't even really necessarily miss Odegaard, and that's no knock against Odegaard. I think he's our number one midfielder, and if he's healthy, I want him to start. But I'm also not gonna like freak out if like it was in the morning. Like the first thing I saw in the morning was, Odegaard out because of an injury he picked up, and it wasn't serious, but they're holding him out. And I think we're gonna maybe see a little bit more of that, a lot more like rotation. We see that a lot in the NBA load management, and so I'm kind of wondering if that's kind of exactly what we're seeing. We're seeing Arteta holding players out just as a precaution. They may or may not be injured. They may be seriously injured or not. Like maybe with the case with like Zinchenko and Partey, like I'm pretty sure Thomas's injury is a little bit. It's still it seems to be like one of those nagging injuries, but I think for the most part, um, I think we're gonna maybe start seeing a lot more rotation, and I don't know what the rules are with reporting injuries or things like that. So I don't know if that's even ethical to say like, oh, he got a knock in training, we're gonna hold him out. Um, but that's like a whole other conversation as well. But it feels like even though we had that 15-year-old kid come out late in the game, and the main reason, of course, was because we had all these injuries, it still didn't feel like we were panicked because I mean Vieira went in there and just played like he had been playing, and Tomiyasu, as much of a critical player he is for us, he's struggling to get on the side because Ben White's just been doing the damn thing. So I'm really liking our depth from top to bottom. I think we're looking good, and I think the biggest blessing in disguise that we got from the postponement of the game against Everton, and then now we have the international break, was it did allow a lot of the injuries that were bugging us to to kind of the guys were able to recover because we did see Thomas end up starting. and you know, the talk was going to be like, oh, he was going to be out for a while, and luckily we didn't really miss him a whole lot. So it's looking good, man. I'm really excited about everybody we have.
Yeah, for sure. And you mentioned us bringing on a young 15-year-old player who broke the record as the youngest ever player to play for Arsenal and the
Yeah,
youngest player to play in the Premier League for any club. There's been criticism after, though, of Mikel Arteta, who pundits, but it's been in the media what these pundits have been saying. They feel that Arteta didn't need to do that. It's going to put a lot of maybe pressure. It's going to put him in the spotlight, having all this attention having come on now in that game. So people are entitled to their opinions. Obviously, we know that, but I feel that it's overcritical. I think a lot of it's jealousy because when you look at the situation, that game was done. We're 3-0 up. We've got him on the bench. It's a great time to introduce him, let him have that feel of what the Premier League's like, the atmosphere, playing in the league, right? It was only a couple of minutes, but it was a nice thing, I think, for Arteta to do. That's
yeah.
my opinion, but I say everyone's entitled to their opinions. What's your opinion on it?
I agree. I mean, especially as you said, I think if we put him in the 85th minute, I would have been a little bit of understanding of the criticism. But we put him, so it was like 4 additional minutes at the end of the game. We put him in at the 92nd or the second minute of stoppage time. If I remember correctly, he might have gotten one touch, and toward the end, like there was a lot of stoppage and this and that. Like it wasn't, those last 4 minutes were just the definition of garbage time, right? Like it just got him the appearance and just got and I it was we were up 3-0, like Brentford wasn't threatening. I think even Brentford themselves started rotating in at the 60th minute. Like they gave up. Like this was just like running out the clock, like in any other sport, right? Um I just feel like yeah, these pundits that are coming out, like the first thing was you can't celebrate because we're playing Villa, and then now it was also in the same game, like Gabriel, our defender, put out the same tweet that Ivan Tony did a year ago, like nice kick about with the boys, and he just kind of copy pasted it and tweeted the same thing out. And I heard a lot more chatter about that and just saying like, oh, that's classless, like that's punching down. Like it's funny when Brentford does it because they're punching up at a giant. I'm like, it's banter, man. It goes both ways. Like nobody really cares. It's not that serious. You know what I mean? And same thing with this. Like I think if they put him in the 85th minute and they gave him some instructions to do something important to close out the game, then sure, you have an argument that why would you do that to a 15-year-old, all this and this. But really by making it something bigger than what it is, they're actually doing what they're criticizing Arteta of doing, of making it of himself and making it a big thing. Like the only reason we're talking about it now is because these guys are saying, oh, Arteta shouldn't have done it. Like, it's bad for the kid. Now he's got all this attention. Well, it's like you're contributing to that negative attention. Like if you were just say like, hey, shout out to this boy, like what's his name, Ethan Waneri, like shout out to him, youngest player in the Premier League, good for him, awesome. Let's share some funny memes about that. And just kept it positive. Then that's all he's gonna see, right? But now, like because of that, because you're just trying to be overly critical and get the clicks and get the views, it's ridiculous. That's my opinion. Is it's all ridiculous. I was excited for the kid. I was excited like when we saw Charlie Patino come in, uh, and and then he ended up scoring a goal. I was like, oh, this is like a really cool moment that I'm not going to forget as a fan, and he's for sure not going to forget it as a player. Like same thing here. I mean, even less eventful though because it was again towards the end of the game. Everybody had essentially kind of given up. It would, I think again he got one touch. He probably barely broke a sweat. I mean, I'm pretty sure they had to add him to the group of players that has to like do the post game workout. Like, come on, man, it's not that serious. Good for the kid and good for Arsenal, man. Um, yeah, that's all I'll say about that.
Yeah, it's a really proud moment, and something that is going to mean a lot to him, and hopefully it's going to give him a lot of confidence. And hopefully he's going to go on and have a great career for us. And as you're saying, it's just there's no need for the pundits to come out about negativity. And as you're saying as well, we see that a lot. We're talking about we over celebrate. What is all that about? I mean,
Yeah,
one you mentioned the Ivan Tony comments.
yeah.
Remember from last season, great kickabout, a good kickabout with the boys. He said,
Yeah.
Was it easy kickabout? The boys are saying
I
this.
think it's just like great kickabout or yeah, something so yeah, just something casual. Like I
Yeah,
thought it was funny. Like I was when he said it, like I was just like, oh, like well, fair play to him. Like, all right, they won, they deserve that shit talk. But I mean, if you dish it, you got to get it back. You know what I mean? So
yeah. This was so good because that game that last season, all right, they won, but it wasn't comfortable. It wasn't like they were dominating us or anything, right? We still gave them a good game. This game, however, we absolutely wiped them off the park. Yeah, we
yeah,
dominated from start to finish. That's what you call a kickabout. Yeah, so
hell yeah.
even Tony, your words came back to bite you because that was what you call a proper kickabout. Yeah,
That was a kickabout, and like not only that, but man, also I noticed too, like the away fans. I didn't hear anything about Brentford fans in the at least in the US broadcast. All we could hear was, the Vieira chant, the Saliba chant, heard the Granit Xhaka chant, heard the, Bukayo Saka. Everybody was getting their chants. Arsenal was getting the chants, but I didn't hear anything from Brentford. I might have heard like one early on, but we shut that we shut that down early, man. So yeah, proper kickabout on our end, and we did it in their stadium. So yeah, sure, it's Brentford, whatever you want to say, but I mean, that's what rivalry is about. Like, you know what I mean? Like talking shit. So I don't understand why Arsenal can't talk shit. Like, fair enough. If we end up losing to City, like, and their fans want to talk shit, like, fine, yeah, you won. But if we win, like, it doesn't matter who you're playing. Premier League, everybody's good and everybody's going to bring their best effort. Um, Granted, we're not going to like, I don't think anybody's going to tweet when we beat whoever it is at the bottom of the table right now. Like if we beat him again, like obviously that's not going to happen. But there's history. There was history with Brentford, so it's like let's just squash it. That was it right there, and moving forward, like we did it.
yeah, it's just good banter the day, a bit of fun.
Exactly.
So it's been a great start for us. Nearly a perfect start. That one game that we have lost as well is we could have got a much better result than that. As we know, they caught us on a break, a couple of mistakes, bit of lack of experience of us, but it could have been 7 out of 7. But it is 6 out of 7, so near perfect start. 18 points after 7 games, really looking good. Let's talk about overall international break. So a chance to reflect on how things have gone so far, on our progress and our rivals as well. So starting with us, your thoughts so far on how things have gone in these first 7 games?
Um, as good as I hoped they would go. We were really close to being 7 for 7 and being 21 points. Um, yeah, so it's actually gone way better than I expected. I did secretly in my head, I still remember expecting to get a draw at best out of like our Crystal Palace match. So the fact that we won 2-0 on that one still, pleases me to this day. Um, I think it's really good for us to get as many points as possible, and that's what we've been doing because of October, as I've mentioned a couple times, going to be a crazy month. 9 games. I don't know what the split is. I don't know how many Premier League versus Europa League games we're getting. Let's just say it's like 5 and 4 or whatever. But either way, like that's 9 games. That's 27 points. I don't even want to like begin to like speculate how many points we should expect. But it's going to be a tough stretch. And then November as well is going to be a tough stretch until we get to then we get the World Cup break and then coming back. There's just going to be so many like unknowns coming up that I'm just really happy how we started the way we started because um, we built ourselves maybe a little bit of a cushion. Maybe not necessarily like for the title challenge because that's tight, but like for the top four, like I see every win as building ourselves a little cushion, Not saying that it's going to be okay when we start dropping points. If we start dropping points, I should say, right? Because I'm still a little bit optimistic, but um, I'm glad that we're just kind of being like again top heavy with the points because that gives us that cushion and breathing room. Because again, there's going to just be so much going on, and again, it's not just going to be us as well. It's going to be the other teams as well, especially the top, right? The Man Cities, the Uniteds, the Liverpools. I don't know if Tottenham has a lot of like international players, but a lot of the top teams that have players that will be participating in the World Cup are going to see, some dip in form, including us. So I think we came out the gate exactly how I was hoping to, and I'm not ready to say we're a title contender just yet, but it's good that we're top of the league, and I'm gonna enjoy every second of it um, until it's no longer the case. Or if it continues to be the case, then wonderful, But yeah, it's good time to be an Arsenal fan, so I'm just soaking it all in.
Yeah, for sure. It's 2 months now that we're top of the league end of August, top of the league end of September. Let's hope we can be top of the league at end of October. We've got to
Yeah,
take it game by game. We know there's some difficult games coming up. Our next two are really difficult games against Tottenham and Liverpool. But if we're still top of the league end of October and going into that World Cup break, it's going to be good in terms of the top four prospects. Outside chance of maybe a title challenge as well. It's too far ahead to look at that. We know how strong Man City are. I think Man City are the strongest in the league by quite some distance still, especially now they got Harden. So don't know if we can push them in a title race, but it's really looking good for our top four prospects. So let's talk about how some of our rivals are doing. Let's start with Chelsea. So they've had a really shaky start, poor results, so much so that they had to sack their manager, and it's not looking too good for them. They have got a good manager in now, you say, from Brighton, and it's too early to be saying that they're not really going to be a rival for us for the top four. But we have got a decent amount of points lead on them, and they've still got to find their rhythm of playing under the new manager. That's going to take some time. But also, their recruitment was not that good, you would say, in the summer transfer window. So a lot of changes happening with them. And when you look at the start of the season, they finished ahead of us last year. So we obviously want to bridge that gap and finish ahead of them. But if you look at the way both teams are playing now and the actual squads, I reckon we're ahead of them. And I'm not too worried about them as a top four threat. What's your thoughts?
I feel the same way. The way I view Chelsea this year is kind of how I viewed maybe how West Ham was to us last year. Like, sure, they were a contender, but I feel like we're clear of them, that we don't necessarily have to worry about them finishing on top of us. And I felt even last year, hey, we can fight for third. I'm not worried about Chelsea. I'm worried about like the Tottenhams. I'm worried about like Liverpool. So that's kind of how I feel this time around as well. I think one of their marquee signings was Fofana, the defender that Gabriel Martinelli just absolutely scorched. So I'm not even worried about it because Gabriel's gonna or Martinelli's gonna do it again, two more times. Their striker, their new number 9, who's not going to be named. I'm not worried about him. I think he's somebody we can take out easily, game plan wise. So yeah, I don't think Chelsea is not necessarily. I mean, I could be wrong. Again, Graham Potter is that's the coach, right? That they just recently hired. He did great things with Brighton, so one would assume he can do better things with Chelsea because he's got more talent, more resources, or what have you. But hopefully, it takes some time, and there's a little bit of some growing pains, and that's only going to hopefully benefit us. But I think we're still, even once they're, if we see a top Chelsea, like I still think we're better than them, like player for player, right? So I'm not too worried about Chelsea.
Okay, yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see how they go. Let's hope they have a lot of poor results. We finish well ahead of him. So next on to Man United. So we saw they had a really shaky start, lost their opening couple of games to Brighton and got embarrassed at Brentford 4-0. But they managed to bounce back. Unfortunately, they managed to beat us as well. That game still really bothers me because they were lucky to me. I know it ended up finishing 3-1, and I know the scoreline is what counts at the end. But we dominated that game. We had them at Old Trafford on the back foot, just trying to catch us on the break, and they managed to do that. But few reasons behind that: our lack of experience, couple of mistakes. Also, we're missing Thomas Partey a lot. We know what a key player for us he is, especially in games like that, where he's the one that can really keep things tight at the back for us. So yeah, got to give him credit for bouncing back. But for me, I'm not too concerned about them as well. I think they're very inconsistent still. It's going to take them time under their new manager. I think we're well ahead of them in our journey as a squad and how we're progressing. What about you?
Yeah, I still am not fully convinced about what's going on at United. I don't think they're going to be a threat. Just because I think they may have been in like similar situation than where we've been at like in the past couple of years. But I like our process a little bit more than what's going on over there. They just seem to just, even with their most recent like transfer window, like they're signing a bunch of like 30-year-old, in football world that's like older guys, and um, just paying top dollar for the big name. Who knows if it's going to be good for the team or not. I think they, losing to a team like Brentford the way they did was certainly one of those wake up calls, and they've responded really well. So credit to them. But then they've also put a couple of like weak performances in the Europa, in the Europa League. So yeah, they're just kind of not. I'm not at all convinced about what's going on with them. I mean, they're better. If you're a team that's better when Ronaldo and like Harry Maguire aren't playing, and those are like your big time players, yeah, like I just don't understand what's going on with them. So yeah, I think maybe I last year it was more like we were neck and neck, like these two teams struggling. But I feel like the quality that we're building, and we may be younger than them and we may not have the world class players that they have, but I think we're playing better football, and in the long run um, we're going to finish better than them. And I'm not necessarily them and Chelsea to me at least are like the ones below us.
Okay, now on to Tottenham.
Yeah.
Much as it's painful to say, they have been looking good. They've had a really good start to the season. They're still unbeaten in the Premier League. They've dropped points in a couple of games. I think they were very lucky in that Chelsea game. They should have lost that one. Chelsea were a better team. The Champions League we saw recently as well, they lost to Sporting. So there are signs of weakness there, but overall, you've got to say it's been a good start for them.
Yeah, man, that the first of the month, October 1st, North London Derby is going to be fucking huge, man. It's going to really set the tone for the rest of the month. The winner conceivably is going to get to stay first in the table, even with the Manchester City win. If we're able to pull off a win, we stay up top of the table. We're first place um, going into October, and I think that's going to be huge in terms of I guess motivation and momentum going into these games. So really hoping for a show against them. Tottenham is just a really weird enigma to me because I've watched a few of their games, and I even watched that Leicester match. And yeah, they won 6-2, but that was one of the most as unimpressive as a 6-2 win could look like. Like that's exactly what it looked like watching them. Leicester gave them fits for a long time, and I was really surprised at that. I don't know what it is with them. I just they're not convincing me, but they're getting lucky. And on one hand, you can say like, oh well, you kind of make your luck, because that luck's what happens when like when you're there, right? You got to be there to be lucky. You kind of make your own luck. A lot of it is also just lucky bounces, but when you're getting lucky, you got to roll with it, and it means something is going right. So something is going right for them, which I don't like to hear and I don't like to see. So yeah, I am a little bit worried about them because just because of that factor. They do have Son, they do have Kane, and two world class guys, and Richarlison has been surprisingly influential for them. So I think they are going to be our direct rivals throughout the entire season. Um, whether they are actually as good as us or not, like is sort of the question to remain. Because again, like I said, I've watched them a few times and they've gotten lucky way too much. And also their football is admittedly very boring, and I hate the way they play compared to us. And so it's certainly going to be like a good guy versus bad guy narrative for the whole season because I don't like this Conti character. I don't like the way they play football. It's just so like uninspiring and boring. And I think we play way better football, and we deserve to be better than them. But got to play the games, right? So yeah, I think it's going to be Arsenal and Tottenham uh, for whatever final positioning we get. Like we're going to be fighting them for that final position, whether it's second, third, fourth, first. Who knows, right? I think our Tottenham is going to be our guy, our Achilles, not Achilles heel. We'll say our villain. There we go.
Yeah, let's hope that we can give them that first loss. That'll dent their confidence, and then that good luck you're saying they've been having, it runs out, and they
Yeah,
start having some poor results. I see what you're saying. I've seen a couple of their games as well, and they've not looked that convincing. But then the thing is, when you got the sort of players they have, they're able to get goals, and
yeah,
then even when you're not playing too well, can get the results. That's something that they've really got in depth in that. If you look at their attacking lineup, I think their defense is still a bit shaky. But with Conte, the kind of manager he is, he's very defensive minded, as we know. So and the way he lines them up and counter-attacking teams. So yeah, they're going to be picking up points, and I see them being right up there at the end of the season. But as you said, next week is key. That's really an important game in terms of the confidence going into October, the rest of the month. If we can get that win, that's going to really help us, and it's going to really make it difficult for them. In terms of their momentum. I don't know what their fixtures are like in October, but yeah, let's hope we have a really bad October. Okay, next let's talk about Liverpool. So this is surprising to say they've really struggled this season. When we're going into the start of the season, the way they've been in recent times, they've really been pushing Man City. They actually won the league just a couple of years back. So looking, thinking they're going to be maybe a bit out of reach for us. Them and City still far ahead of us in terms of a squad and ability, but their results have been so poor. Even the games they've won, they've been lucky to win them. That one against Newcastle, I don't know what's going on there with the amount of injury time, what the referee's doing, but
oh
that
yeah, I remember that one.
yeah, that was a very lucky win. Even against Ajax, I saw that one. They played well, but left it very late to get the winner. Saw them against Everton. Everton had many chances in that game as well to beat them. So they've looked really shaky. We saw against Napoli as well. I mean, you were talking about
Yeah,
that one while we're watching it. Like, what's going on here? Like, Napoli ripped them apart. Uh,
yeah.
Easily beat them 4-1. So I, I know that they've had some injuries. Also, one of their main players, Mane, left. So, they're adapting their side of play. They've got that new striker in Nunes. But at the end of the day, it's a results business, and you can have all them excuses, but they've not been getting results. And I'm not as fearful of them as a team as I was at the start of the season. We know they've still got some great players, and they can turn it on at any time. And I can see them coming back, bouncing back, but I believe we've got a really good chance of finishing above them.
I feel the same way, and I think Liverpool is like I've mentioned, like we've talked about Chelsea, we've talked about United. How I've kind of said like when it comes to rivals, like I think we're clear of them and they're a step below. You know what I mean? I think Tottenham, we're neck and neck with them. I think Liverpool, just based off the history of like the past, 3 or 4 years, I feel like for me, in my eyes, Liverpool is the one. Like that's the team that I want us to strive to be. And I think now is a perfect opportunity to just like they're struggling and I want to play them and I want our boys to just like take advantage of that. Like it was kind of how I felt last year when we played United in Old Trafford, and again we played the occasion and not the team, and I was like, wow, we can beat this team. We didn't do it, and I feel like that's now granted. Right after we played Tottenham, we played Liverpool, but at home as well. And I feel it's going to be one of those same situations. Like, yeah, we're playing Liverpool, but this is not the Liverpool that smoked us 4-0 last year, that beat us 2-0, that we couldn't, that we played them 4 times, I think, last year, because we also played them in the Carabao Cup and didn't score a single goal. Like, they've had our number. Even though we drew with them in one of those games and we played really well. And one could even argue like the two Premier League games that we lost 4-0 and 2-0, like you saw glimpses of what was happening. And I feel like this is the year, this is the time, this is the opportunity where we're going to see us kind of surpass them in the track. Like, right, if we're racing, like if it's a racetrack, and we've been behind them all this time, and we're at the third lap, and we're just now starting to catch up to them, and now starting to to be even with them, and now that final push. Like, I think they're struggling. I think their reign is going to be over, right? Like Sadio Mane leaving. Um, Salah, as great as he is, he's getting old. That team is older, and they're going to start dipping in form a little bit. I think it's our time to kind of step up and be like, all right, now Arsenal's the team that's going to be the next Liverpool in terms of like being that team that's always just going to be top of the table, not top of the table, but fighting for the top of the table. So yeah, even though Liverpool's struggling this year, I still think it's going to be one of those games that's going to be big for us because of those previous experiences that a lot of these players have went through. Um, and it's going to be difficult. So back to back, man. Why do we have a Europa League match in between that? But for Premier League, back to back, Tottenham and Liverpool. Um, it's a storybook couple of weeks, man. Right? Like, I think those two games, man. I really hope that we get 6 points out of those games, and I think that's going to be just a monumental performance. Worst case, even if we draw against both of them, a draw against Liverpool where we score one, maybe two goals, for me would be amazing because, like, I just want to see us score against them. You know what I mean? Like, it's one of those teams. Like, for me, like we beat Crystal Palace at the beginning of the year, and for me, the sense of relief I felt when we scored that second goal, like, it's going to be 10 times that if we can do that against Liverpool, man. Because as long as I've started to follow Arsenal, it's always been Liverpool that has just beat our asses, man. And that's the one. That's the Moby Dick, man. Like, that's who I want us to like capture. That's how I feel about them. Liverpool for me is like that's the team that I want us to strive to be.
Yeah, in recent times they've really had the advantage on us. We had some really poor results at Anfield. I don't even remember some of the losses
Yeah,
we've had up there. Like, it's been some difficult times for us, but I see us definitely. We're much closer to them now. As I said, I think we've got a good chance of finishing ahead of them. Let's hope their struggles continue, and if we keep playing the way we are, I'm confident we can beat them here, and I hope we can play them well at Anfield and beat them there as well. And yeah, with them, as I said, a lot of world class players, but as you're saying, really true point back, it's getting an older team. I wind up a lot of my friends that are Liverpool fans and say to them that, Saliba's better than Van Dijk already.
yeah,
He's definitely going to be better than him long term, like in terms of the ceiling of a player. But you would say Van Dijk is one of the best defenders in the Premier League, if not the best. And I feel Saliba's like on that level, and he's going to be better. Like, he's going to get
yeah,
better and better. He's so young.
yeah, exactly. And um, I mean, yeah, you could almost kind of like they're carbon copies of each other, right? They're big, tall, strong, fearless. They really impose themselves, and yeah, I mean, we're definitely trying to model our game, not necessarily like them, but you know, you see this all the time in all different kinds of sports. Like when the Warriors lost to LeBron, the Warriors went what 73-9, lost to LeBron, and they were like, what do we have to do to beat LeBron? Well, let's fucking get Kevin Durant or whatever, like like I feel like every piece that we've added and everything we've built has been to beat a team like Liverpool. Like Man City's like yes, City's the top one, right? And like but if you try and mold your team after the teams that are beating you, like you're only gonna like you're hopefully gonna see like success. And yeah, the parallels I see with some of these players, like when I watch Bukayo Saka, I think of players like Raheem Sterling or Mo Salah or even like Sadio Mane, like just fearless, like that strike fear in defenders, and that's yeah, man. Yeah, I'm totally down to start rolling up my Liverpool buddies and telling them, hey man, Saliba's got your boy Van Dijk like in his sights, and yeah, it's just yeah, as I'm saying, we're building up. We're still like we have no reservations about saying that hey, like we're not where we want to be, and that's why being first in the league right now is just so exciting because it's like, well, we're almost overachieving. It feels that way, but we have our sights on these teams that have been dominating us for years, and um Liverpool, yeah, again, like the feeling I remember getting from the second time we played him, and it was 0-0 for like the first 50 minutes, and I'm like, oh, we're playing our asses off. Martinelli's killing them. It's amazing, and then Liverpool fucking brings on Salah, Diogo Jota, like in the 55th minute, and then by the 60th minute, they're up fucking 2-0, and you're just like, give me a break. Like, come on. And we're getting to that level to where we can just be like, all right, like, let's bring in Fabio Vieira because he can play all four positions up front. Let's bring in Takahiro Tomiyasu. If somebody's giving us some hell. If Darwin Nunez is giving us some hell, let's bring in Tomiyasu to kind of reinforce that back line a little bit. Like we're starting to get to that point too, and it's really exciting. And I just can't wait. Can't wait till these games come out. Like we just need to have them happen, right? And whatever the results happen, I mean, whatever we lose, we win, draw, whatever. Like it's still going to be exciting. Like I know our guys are gonna show up. Is kind of where I'm ultimately feeling. Like we're gonna play every week, as you mentioned even earlier. Like the United game, we were battering them, and we got unlucky, right? Scoreline, but fair play to United fans that they can say, "Hey, we beat your ass 3-1," and they would be right in saying that. But we did not. It wasn't that we didn't show up to play. Like so, we're going to continue to show up every week, and we're not going to be pushovers anymore. So that's what I'm really excited about is just seeing a team that's going to impose their will. And whether it works week to week, we're about to find out. Big test coming up.
Yeah, for sure, bro. It's really crunch time coming up. Excited, nervous, but as you said, really confident that win, draw, or lose, that we're gonna go and put a good performance in, and we're
Yeah.
gonna fight. You can see the fight in the team. That's really obvious to see that we're really working hard for each other, and we can only go and do our best. Really confident though that we've got the chance to finish above Liverpool, but the next team we're going to talk about now is Manchester City.
Yeah.
Not confident that we can finish above them. I just think they're so good now with Haaland. They're already a very good team. We've seen them dominate the Premier League in recent times. And you add Haaland to that now, they're going to be scoring more goals. We've seen their start. All right, they've dropped a couple of points here and there. We saw recently against Aston Villa, but in general, they've looked really good. Looked really good in the Champions League. All right, against Borussia Dortmund, I think they weren't that good to win in that one. They came back to win it 2-1 in the end, and we saw the goals they scored. Again, Haaland, that guy's able to score all types of goals, and what a buy he's been for them. So I think they're going to be too good for all of us. As I was saying to you earlier, I think we're all playing for second, but at the moment we are ahead of them. We can consider them at the moment as a direct rival. I don't know how much longer we'll be ahead of them and be able to keep in touch with them. I hope we can push them at the very least and have a battle with them right up until the end of the season. And you never know, take it game by game. There's always an outside chance we can finish ahead of them, but realistically, they are just too good. What's your thoughts on them?
Yeah. Everything you said, I pretty much feel the same way. They are they're the team everybody wants to be, right? Like they're the defending Premier League champions. Um, they only got better and their sights are on Champions League. So you almost feel like for them, they're considering Premier League a given, and they play that way. They play good football too. Like it's not like they're getting lucky like Tottenham or anything like that. Um, yeah, and I mentioned on one hand, like we want to model ourselves like after teams like Liverpool. I mean, the DNA of our team right now is like Manchester City light. We've got their old striker, we've got their old left back who also plays midfielder. We got one of their old coaches. We are molding ourselves to be almost like if there was a team you wanted to build your team or to mold your team after, it has to be Manchester City, right? So to say that we're better than them, is I'm not going to be that delusional. But I will say this: I think we're going to steal a win from them. I don't know if it'll be the first match, like because I'm trying to see when we play them. Um, I don't like we were supposed to play them next month and they got postponed. But
They haven't announced when that game's going to be rescheduled to, but it will be after the World Cup, so we'll probably be playing them twice in a short space of time. Don't know when that rearranged game will be, but it's
fair
going to
enough.
be later in the season. So it's a bit of
Yeah,
a strange one. That one that it's going to work out like that. That we won't have played them in the first half of the season. It's going to be well into the second half of the season that will be the first time we play them. I mean, like I say, we'll be playing them twice in the second half of the season. So don't know how that's going to work out. Is it an advantage not to play them early in part of the season? Don't know. It's like I say, we
yeah.
can't. It's in hindsight, we can't say what's going to be better for us or not to play them now or not. It's just the way it's worked out. We're not playing them in October now. It's going to be later in the season.
I will say this: I would have been happy if we were able to play them in October because I felt like even based off what we've seen them how they've been playing, like I want them to like go against the best teams, right? We've built up plenty of confidence and momentum with these 6 wins, and one could argue, oh, we haven't played anybody, but neither has Man City. I mean, if you look at, I was talking with a friend of mine who's Man City, and well, they mentioned when is Arsenal going to play somebody, and I'm like, well, who exactly have Manchester City played? If we want to go with that argument, right? Um, they haven't played anybody much stronger than us. I mean, they've played Wolves, who are bottom there, Nottingham Forest, Bournemouth, which we've played, West Ham, which is sort of bottom in the league as well. And I mean, the only one you want to give them maybe some credit for is that Crystal Palace win, but then we beat them as well. And then sure, they're undefeated, and we lost one. So yes, like it's just if you want to use that argument, like again, we're top of the league and they're right below us, so we're toe to toe with them right now. I think over time they're going to pull away, right? Just because that's the team they've built. We're a little bit younger, a little bit still inexperienced, as much experience as we've been gaining over the past year. Like we're still kind of a step below them, but I think we're gonna win one game against them, and I would have been much more confident saying that if we were gonna play them in October. Yes, because I wanted to play them right away, right? So we'll see what happens, right? As you said, we'll play them twice late in the season, and who knows for either one of us what that's going to look like in terms of where we are in the table. But I think that's another team that's again we're aiming high, we're punching upwards against Liverpool and Man City, and I think we're at the very worst um, showing up and playing them tough. And however it happens, it's not going to be easy for them. I think we're going to end up winning a game at least against both of those teams. That's my bold prediction. I don't know, like, yeah, who knows? But I say we at least get 3 points from both of them. And for me, that's a success.
Yeah, it's been a long time since we've beaten these two teams. Really struggled with them in recent times, but you can see we're closing the gap. As you were saying against Liverpool as well, like we gave them difficult game. It sounds like 4-0 was easy for them, but we were right in that game, and then just some defensive lapses. Second half, they managed to get them goals, but we pushed them. We pushed them at the game here as well. So both games against Liverpool, we pushed them. With City, that first game, yeah, we struggled. We know that start to the season was all over the place, and they destroyed us.
Yeah.
But in the second game against them here, they were very lucky to beat us. Right, couple of things
Yeah.
against us with refereeing decisions. We have a red card, but we played so well. They got a late winner, so we're definitely closing the gap on not just Liverpool, but on also on City. But as I was saying to you, I'm not confident we can finish ahead of them. They're just such a strong team, so consistent. The amount of points they've been getting in recent times in the Premier League. So I don't see us getting to that level right now, but I don't think we're far away. Maybe 1, 2 more transfer windows. I think next season will be in a better place to push them. Hopefully really challenge them to win the title. If it happens this season, great. As I said, you never know in football. Got to take it game by game. There's so many variables this season as well. You mentioned it earlier at the start of the show where, the World Cup's coming up. We don't know how players are going to recover from that, what injuries teams will get, the January transfer window. It's all different this season with this World Cup being here. So, it's going to be interesting to see how it goes. But yeah, at the moment, City, I think, are really far ahead of all the teams in the Premier League. And looking in Europe as well, definitely among the top 2, 3 teams in Europe. So we want to get to that level. We're working towards it. As you say, the style of played as well. Obviously, Arteta been working with Pep. He will learn a lot. And you can see that the way we're playing, it's our way from a long time back as well, but it's not something new for us. This is our way of playing. It's for Arsenal way. And
Mhm.
you can see that we're doing that more and more now. So we're seeing with the squad that we're trying to develop similar to that City concept of each position. You want to have 2 really strong options and you want to have a really strong bench. It's something you admire whenever you look at City's bench and you see the options. There's the like sometimes Jack Grealish, £100 million player on the bench. Someone like Riyad Mahrez, we know how good he is. So like we're working towards that and we're not far off it. Hopefully, like I say, another year, a couple more transfer windows and we'll be even closer to them. So let's see how it goes. So I'm going to ask you to finish within. Ask you this at the start of the season. I'll ask you now, as we've got this little international break, we've had a fair sample of games, 7 games. I'll ask you again during the World Cup break. I mean, obviously again later in the season, like after the January transfer window. So what's your prediction for the top 4 as things stand?
Oh, top 4. Juicy question. All right, so I'll concede that City will be better than us, and I'll say they win the title. So number 1 is Manchester City. I think 2, I think is us. I think 3 is Tottenham, and I think fourth place. Um, I think fourth place will be Manchester United. I think Chelsea miss out. I think Liverpool miss out. Yeah, it's gonna be bold. I feel bold in saying that, but yeah, we'll say so again. City, Arsenal, Tottenham, United. That's it right there.
Okay, yeah. It's for me looking at Liverpool, I feel that they're gonna bounce back and they're sort of team that hopefully we're showing signs that we can start doing this now as well. That's one really important thing as well to mention about Liverpool and Man City. These 2
Yeah.
teams are able to win like 10 games in a row, and we've seen them do it consistently over the last few years, especially Man City. So I feel Liverpool are going to be able to put a run together and be in that battle, and I probably do see them finishing in the top 4. But in terms of like Chelsea, Man United, as I say, I think we're going to finish ahead of them. So for me, the biggest dangers will be Liverpool and Tottenham. Obviously, Man City, but we've got a great chance for top 4 this season as a minimum. We said it last season. We had a really good chance right up until the end of the season. We were right there, but this time I'm hoping we're going to do it comfortably, not
Hmm.
just finishing the top 4, but do it comfortably. I mean, like I said, anything else would be a bonus. If we can push Man City, that'd be great, but it's got to be at least top 4 comfortably. And I believe we can do it. I'm really optimistic. Started so well, we've got to keep it going. Next one's the big one, North London Derby. Look forward to previewing you out next week. So thanks for your
Yeah.
time, Paul.
Hey man, my pleasure. This is always great. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. We'll get the primer this Saturday with the women's, and then next week the men's, and that's gonna be another 6:30 a.m. start. But I guarantee you, um, we will be we will be ready. I'm definitely gonna take a lot of video on that day because yeah, yeah. Even though it's 6:30, yeah, people will come out and people will show up. Maybe they might miss this. They might miss kickoff, but by the 10th, 15th minute, people will start, people will start coming into the pub, and the beer will start flowing early. So can't wait, man. It's be a big match. So looking forward to speaking to you next week.
For sure, bro. Let's hope we're all celebrating a great win for us. So that's all from us. Thanks for watching, everyone. Please remember to subscribe, like, and share.